everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Chelsea and my husband and I recently went through a round of IVF. We've actually just gone through the first process of IVF, which is the egg retrieval and fertilization part of it. We'll be doing the transfer later on. But I did get a lot of questions about IVF and thought I would address those in a video. So what I've done is I've just written down the questions that we've been asked throughout this process, and mainly just like the questions that we've been asked multiple times. So obviously there's some sort of curiosity out there. People are interested and intrigued with the whole IVF process, and because it's not a very widely talked about thing, there are a lot of questions. And yeah, I'm excited that I can sit down today and answer some of those. First off, I am not a doctor, obviously, but I feel like I need to say that. I'm not a doctor, people. This is my experience. I will be talking about my experience, not telling you what to do or, yeah, anything like that. Just basically how these questions relate to my experience and sort of the answers that I would give people, because I felt like I was answering these questions quite frequently over the past month. So let's get into it. Okay, so the first question is, what is IVF? IVF is in vitro fertilization. So I was trying to look up like what that actually means, like what that stands for. Let's just take a look. Okay. In vitro, the definition right here is a process performed taking place in a test tube, culture dish, or elsewhere outside of a living organism. So IVF stands for in vitro fertilization. So essentially, fertilization being done outside of the womb in a petri dish, essentially. So basically what they do in IVF is they take eggs from the woman, sperm from the man, obviously, and put them together inside of a test tube, petri dish. I don't know what they put them in actually, but they do it outside of, like normally that would happen inside the woman, right? I'm not going to go into details because you guys know how that happened. It's done outside of the body. They fertilize the eggs that are retrieved, become embryos once they're fertilized with the sperm, and then they develop into embryos that will then be transferred back into the woman. So that is essentially what IVF is. There's a lot more to it than that, but that's like the simple basic version, I guess. In order to do all those things, there are processes and things that you have to do to fertilize an egg outside of your body, but that we'll get to that at a later time. The second question that I wrote down here that I got asked a lot was, what is the IVF timeline? Like, how long does it take to do IVF? So essentially the timeline for an IVF cycle is aligned with your menstrual cycle. So what you do is you call day 1 of your cycle, and they get you in and run baseline tests and see if you're ready to start an IVF cycle. Then around day 4 or 5 of your cycle, you start medications. You do those medications for about 9 to 12 days. So it's about 2 weeks, that first part, which is egg retrieval. So it's about 2 weeks for that. And then it's about 5 to 6 days for the fertilization once the eggs are retrieved. So that's, 15 days plus 5 days, 5 to 6 days. You're at about 21 days or so. And then you can either transfer the egg, or it's not an egg anymore, it's an embryo. You transfer the embryo then and do a fresh embryo transfer, or you freeze all the embryos and transfer them at a different time aligned with a different cycle. If that makes sense. So IVF is always aligned with your cycle, with your menstrual cycle, because it needs to mimic pregnancy as like a natural pregnancy as much as possible. So essentially it just happens within a month. So that's why they call it an IVF cycle. So the next question is, how many embryos will we transfer? And this is a great question. It's like the big question. I have an answer for you. I want to just transfer one because I really don't want twins. I feel like there are a lot of complications that come with twins. If you have done IVF and you have experience with twins, I would love to hear your feedback, because I feel like the only thing I've seen with IVF twins is people having a lot of complications, having to be on bed rest, having the twins end up in the NICU, losing one of their twins early on or later. I just am terrified of that. So I would like to say we'll transfer one, but it just sort of depends on how we feel. We do have 8 embryos, which is a really good number to work with. Doesn't mean I want to transfer 2 just because we have more embryos. I would rather transfer 1 and have like more chances, like 8 chances of transferring 1 at a time than doing 2 at a time, just because of all those complications. My doctor doesn't really recommend doing more than 1 because of our age and our like health records and stuff. And I actually think doctors, for the most part these days, discourage transferring more than 1 unless you're like a certain age or you've been through multiple IVF cycles and it hasn't worked out, or your like embryo quality is bad, or not bad, but poor or whatever. You haven't gotten the best embryos, I guess. We're doing the PGS testing right now, the genetic testing on our embryos, and we'll get those results back soon. And that's another reason why I wanted to do the genetic testing, is because I wanted to know like what embryos were of the best quality, so that way we wouldn't be more tempted to put in 2. Because generally if you don't do the testing, it makes it more tempting to do 2, hoping that 1 will stick. I know a lot of people really like the idea of twins, but it's kind of like a novelty thing. But I don't know, I'm really kind of freaked out for all the reasons. I can't even fathom having 1 baby. I want a kid, okay? I would prefer they come 1 at a time. That is my spiel on how many embryos we're going to transfer. Okay, so then the other question is, when are we going to transfer? Well, we had to wait at least a couple weeks for the PGS test results to come back. And we're doing a frozen cycle, so basically we can transfer whenever we want. Another question, how much does IVF cost? A lot. Okay, it costs a lot of money. So I did a video, I will post it right here. Click this little card that flashes if you would like to see the exact numbers of how much IVF costs. You can check that video out. So far, I want to say it's cost us $12,000 for the initial cycle, and then from the pharmacy, the medications, it was $2,800. We ended up getting a $600 refund on that because we qualified. I applied for like this little like grant thing through the pharmacy, and we got $600 back. So it was $2,200 for the medications, and so that's what, $14,200 so far, plus like all the supplements and stuff that I've been taking are probably a couple $100 total. Oh, and PGS testing is $150 each. So let's see. What we've spent so far is $150 times. So yeah, so PGS testing is $150 per embryo, and we have 8 embryos, so that's $1,200. So that on top of the like 14,400 plus 1,200 is 1,500. $15,700. Yeah. So yeah, it's a lot. $15,700 is what we've spent basically so far. And then when we do the transfer side of it, that's going to cost us $3,000 plus medications. So yeah, we're going to spend about $20,000 is what we planned on. So it's a lot. The other question we get a lot: how do they retrieve the eggs? So after you've gone through all the medications to stimulate your ovaries to produce like as many eggs as possible, then when around the time you ovulate, they go in and they remove the eggs from your ovaries. And the way they do that is it's not like from your, like they don't make an incision. They just go through vaginally. Small little needle thingy, they suck, like they poke into the ovaries and suck out the eggs, vacuum them out. I don't know. But that's essentially, when I Googled it, that's essentially what it looked like. They have an ultrasound going so they can see what's going on. And then they take a needle and then they poke through the ovary and then, suck the eggs from the follicle wall. It's crazy. That's so crazy that they can do all this. All right, so the next question I got a lot was, how many shots do you have to take in a day? So for 5 days, I was on 2 shots, and then for 4 days after that, I was on 3 shots a day. One of those days, I actually was on 4 shots, or I had to take 5 shots within one day. So that was fun. I think total with my IVF cycle, I counted 30 shots within a 9-day, like 10-day period of time. That's how many shots I did. Another question I got asked was, what are the side effects of the medications I was on? The medications you take for IVF are hormone stimulating medications, from what I understand, and so they play off that. So you can be more hormonal. I didn't think I was as bad as I thought I would be. I'm kind of already an emotional person. I think I did cry a lot more than I usually do. But I don't know. You'd have to ask Eric. I'm pretty sure I did. I did cry more than I usually do. Poor Eric. But like I said, I didn't think I was as bad as I thought it was going to be. So some other side effects were acne, especially coming off the medications. I feel like my face has just gone crazy, and I have like cystic acne, I think, breaking out all across like my jawline, which I don't usually break out there. So that's been interesting. A very negative side effect for me. I don't like dealing with that. Hopefully that subsides soon, because it's like really, it's like not like normal acne. It doesn't go away very fast. So anyway, the other main side effect I would say is just my ovaries feeling really heavy. The first couple days I just felt them like twinging, and that was uncomfortable. I remember sitting in a movie with I went to a movie with my brother and my sister, and like just like having to like lean back because it just was twingy and like super uncomfortable. And that was just the first couple days, and then after that it was just like heavy, really heavy. I had to wear loose fitting clothes. I just tried to be as comfortable as I could, because it was just uncomfortable. Sleeping at night, I had to sleep on my side with a pillow in between my legs, and to like get relaxed to go to bed, I had to have a heating pad on me. It sort of like feels like how you feel like with like the first couple of days of your cycle, so maybe a little worse, but yeah, and it doesn't go away. It just sort of gets worse before the egg retrieval. So those were the main side effects. It wasn't too bad. Like I said, it was just uncomfortable. Next question, what was the recovery like after egg retrieval? For me, it was pretty easy. I was expecting it to be a lot worse. I know that's just my experience. A lot of people, everyone has different experiences with the egg retrieval recovery. I hope everyone has the experience that I had, because it was, like I said, pretty easy. I was tired the first day. The second day, I did feel a little bit of like stabbing pain in my ovaries, so I had to make sure I was resting and took ibuprofen the second day. The rest of the time I just felt crampy and a little bloated, and I took a couple days off of work. I didn't do too much around the house, but by the end of the second day I was feeling pretty much better and went back to work on the third day after the egg retrieval. So not too bad. I didn't get OHSS or anything like that, so I was pretty lucky. I made sure to drink a lot of water and just really focus on taking care of my body. And the last question that I have is, what are the success rates of IVF? So for us, our doctor gave us a 65% chance with using IVF with ICSI. We have undiagnosed infertility. We don't have any male factor issues. We wanted to do PGS testing, so that's why we had to do ICSI. But yeah, based off of what he can see as of right now, he's giving us a 65% chance. Much higher success rate than IUI. So IUIs, I think, which is basically artificial insemination, is, I think, 20% chance for the average person. So yeah, you get a lot better chances with IVF. So that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any other questions, feel free to just type them down below in the comments, and I will be happy to answer them as best I can. Like I said, I'm not a doctor. I will answer them based off of my experience and my research. And yeah, let's get some conversations going down below. I love to chat with you guys down there. And I will talk to you guys in my next video. Bye!